Alright, so welcome back, friends. It's time for the video we've all been waiting for. So if you're just joining us, of course, in the last couple videos back, we put I put this came up with this arbitrary torture test that I put the cheapest Amazon scope on Amazon through, and well, we all know the outcome of that. So the question that came up by hundreds of you guys was, well, why don't you put your Leupold through that? I mean, if can the Leupold, what good is the test if even the great scopes can't go through it? So that's what we're going to be doing today. So the test is going to be consist of four things. So first off, we froze the scope with liquid nitrogen. Then we dunked it into some tepid water on the end of a drywall or paint stir stick for 1 minute, vigorously agitating in the water bath. Pulled it out. It was a hard as I could and high as I could underhand toss into the grass, and then followed up by the 6-foot drop on the diopter straight down onto a wooden platform. Then, of course, we'll put the optic back on and see if it will hold zero. So what we're going to be using today is a brand new Leupold Mark IV. This is a military grade optic. As I said, it's brand new. It is a 4.5 to 14, I believe. And I think, you know, a lot of people had opinions on this, and a lot without knowledge. And I don't have the knowledge, so I can't say. But I mean, a lot of you went out there on a limb and said there's no way any scope could ever survive that. And I don't know, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but if I was willing to fess up when I stepped over bounds and made a mistake, then I hope that you would be willing to be the bigger person, and if you did make those comments, and if we do come through on top, to make those retractions. We'll see who's who. Bring out the honor we'll see who brings out we'll see who puts forward honor. All right, let's shoot our 3-round group. I zeroed this yesterday. It was a quick and dirty, but it should be close enough. We'll put 3 rounds at 100. We'll yank it off. We'll go through the test. We'll put it back on, and we'll do 3 more. It'll be a total of 6 shots. So let's launch the drone. All right, you guys ready? So the tool we'll be using today, a lot of folks asked, I'll go over it very quickly, is based off of a Remington 700, chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor with a proof carbon barrel, Thunder Beast brake, jeweled trigger, Macmillan A3 stock, Burris bipod, and Badger Ordnance is, I believe, bottom metal. That pretty much sums it up. Okay, built by T&T Armament in Nebraska. If you want to build one of these up, you couldn't go with better people than that. Okay, 3 at 100. We'll do our best here.
Morning.
Okay. All right, with that done, so let's we'll pull it off here and see what's what. I'm gonna leave the mounts on. We'll do everything to the best of my recollection that we did with the $36 optic. We'll tighten these back up. Now, as I said yesterday, one deviation, I'm going to cover the lenses with some gaffer's tape. For the very reason that if it were to happen to fall on a rock or something, I don't want it to scratch. All right, before we do our 30-second or 60-second bath, we're gonna freeze it with liquid nitrogen because scopes are used in the cold. We'll use the whole can on there. And somebody's gonna say, oh, the gaffer's tape's insulating it. Yeah, whatever. I'm getting it in there. Whole can turrets on the ends. Liquid nitrogen's cold. About half a can there. At the belly end. All right, that's it. Okay, 60 seconds. 3, 2, 1, mark. All right, that's it. That's a minute on the driller. So this is roughly where I was standing on with the Amazon, where I tossed the Amazon scope, and you can see here, maybe that's the Mark IV. And I did a big underhand, a big dark one, as hard as I could, into the grass. So let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, landed right on the end. Here's where it lies. Okay, so it impacted right there on the front. I can see where the dirt is, just like that. No rattles, that's a good start. Now we're going to finish up with what I think is probably the most brutal thing you can do to a scope, and that's going to be the end drop onto the diopter on a hard surface. Right there, you can see that's where it landed.
I've got to make a clarification right there. So as I sat down to edit, for some reason the camera didn't turn on when I did this 6-foot drop. I did get the end of the impact where it made a dent in the step. So what I did is I went back after this video and I dropped it a second time just to show you that this is exactly what I did. So I'm sorry I didn't get that. I don't know what happened. It's probably the most important shot on the whole video.
See right there, it hit so hard that it has put that ring in there. So far so good. So I'm really hoping this comes through. Leupold has been a great company. I got a lot of tradition, or a lot of history with my family. Growing up in a big hunting family, Granddad always shot Leupold. It was, man, the gold ring back in the day. That was as good as it gets. If you wanted the best, and this had been like in the 80s, you had a Weatherby Mark V, and with a beautiful Monte Carlo wooden stock and that rosewood tip, and a Leupold gold ring, and that was the creme de la creme. That was as good as it gets. Boy, things have changed. Everything's gotten so extreme. When I was a kid, you could have a bike. You know, a bike was a bike, banana seat and all that, and now they're so specialized. There's time trial bikes, and there's mountain bikes, and then there's who knows what. It's just the same thing with everything. Everything's just gotten to such an extreme. Okay, so I'm just cleaning off of the water a little bit so I can see. Now, also keep in mind these mounts are Leupold. I think they're Mark IIs. These were never. I don't think anyone ever claimed that they were designed to hold a zero. So what that means, repeatable, how I understand it. Some of these rings, the manufacturer will say you can take your optic off and you can put it back on and it will be exactly where it was where you left it. I don't know that anyone ever claimed that these are those type of mounts. So what we might see is we might see a grouping in a different spot, and that's not because, I don't believe that's because of any deficiency in the optic, just that when it was torqued down, the specs, and this is not the most high speed, super sophisticated $10,000 deal. But if we get a consistent group, even if it's a little shifted from our initial attempt, that doesn't mean that doesn't mean there's anything wrong, or that there's any sort of a failure. All right, torque, and we're ready. All right, friends, it all comes down to this. Got my 3 shells in my pocket to keep them out of the sun. That one's a little hot and sitting right in the sun. Okay, so I put up, as you see there, I put up a second target to the left so we can kind of get a comparison there. We'll put 3 shots on. That's 1. That's 2. Oh man, I must have jerked that. And that's 3. Let's go take a look. Well, that's that. Here we have it. So for all of the keyboard commandos that guaranteed that no scope could go through that abuse and still be able to hold a 0, this is the part where I get to say I told you so. Yeah, so this is common for me right here. Yeah, not the best shooting. What I typically end up doing, at least I'm consistent if nothing else, is I'll make my first shot and then I'll forget my fundamentals and I'll rush it and I'll pull one, and then I get aggravated at that, and I remember to go back to the fundamentals, and I'll oftentimes be able to shoot a lot better. And I think maybe that comes a lot from not being raised with some really bad habits. When I was real young with rifles that were too big for me to put in my hands, and overcoming, you know, that childhood panic, I guess, when it comes to the recoil, that just I'm working out over time. So that's pretty amazing. You know what? I was thinking as I was walking down here how proud I am of Leupold to be able to produce something like that, and especially knowing that those optics are winding up in the hands of our soldiers, that they could, you know, go into combat with something that can, you know, might get bumped on a edge of a Bradley or dropped or blown up or whatever, and of course, you know, my test it's not comprehensive by any means, but it was tough, no question about it. And I think a good portion of you didn't think that it would be possible, and to be honest, I didn't know, but we certainly know now. Here we have, after all of that, we have basically you know, one big hole right there, and very consistent, and I have no doubt that it'd be better if it was put in the hands of someone that was a better shooter. But there you have it. That's you guys asked for it. I told you I'd do it, and I did it, and I'm happy to see it came out on top. So where does that leave us with the $36 the budget optic? Well, as I said in the previous video, you know, I think that I left this target up here, and this is what we shot, you know, before I abused it. These are the groupings that it held, and it did quite well on the 6.5. So is it worth $36? Well, of course it is. If you wanted something that you'd, I don't know, I'll leave that up to you to decide, you know. So it sometimes we don't always have the option to get what we want. Can't always get what you want, you get what you need, right? And if that's what you need, if you need an optic and you got $36, I think that'd be probably $36 reasonably spent. Don't forget to click the thumbs up, and thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video.